Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We are on chapter 5, Mishnah 20. Yehuda ben Tema Omer, have a az kenemer, be as bold as a leopard, v'kal kenesher, be as light as an eagle, v'ras ketzvi, run like a deer, v'gibor ka'ari, and as mighty as a lion, la'asais return avicha shebashamayim, to do the will of your Father in heaven. Hu haya Omer, he used to say, az panim legehedim, those who are brazen will go to hell. Uboshes panim, those who are shamefaced, legan eden, they will go to heaven. They're shameful, bashful. Bashful is a better word. It should be your will. Hashem Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, God and God of our fathers, shetivnei ircha b'meher v'yameinu, that you should build your city speedily in our days, v'tein chalkeinu b'torasacha, and give us a portion in your Torah. Says Rabeinu Yonah. What does it mean? Bold, az kenemer, bold as a leopard, lahochiach over avera, to when people are sinning, to be bold. Tell them, you're doing something wrong, you shouldn't be sinning. Uliyasron v'lasik b'tayra mitzvos harbe, and to study Torah and do many mitzvos. We shouldn't be embarrassed that we're Jews. When we see someone doing something wrong in the right circumstances, we should tell them you're doing something wrong. And we shouldn't be embarrassed to serve Hashem and to do Torah mitzvos. I know I used to, when I would go to a rest stop on the turnpike, I'd be very embarrassed to say Asher Yatzer. And people looking, who is this guy praying to himself? It looks strange, but when I went with my Rosh Hashiva, he stood there in his frock and his hat and said Asher Yasser slowly and with intent. He didn't care what people looking at him. He was bold when it came to serving Hashem. In fact, he once did it on a plane, was saying Asher Yatzer, the prayer for going to the bathroom, and someone came to him and said, can I ask you, what were you saying to yourself? So he told him, I'm saying a prayer to thank God that everything came out okay when I went to the bathroom, and the man said to him, wow, you're truly an amazing people. You can take such a mundane act like going to the bathroom and sanctify it. So we have to be bold when we're serving Hashem. Don't be embarrassed to be a Jew. And when we work hard and we serve Hashem and do mitzvahs, we won't become weary. Isaiah says, those who yearn for God, Hashem gives them strength. When those who yearn for Hashem work very hard, Hashem will give them strength. People who use their abilities and use their strength to serve Hashem and work hard, they shouldn't worry about getting tired, and they shouldn't worry about getting burnt out, because Hashem will give them more strength. The Kal Kaneshabi should be swift as a eagle. Yalu Aver Kanasharim, he'll get new wings like an eagle. Veratz Ketzvi, should run like a deer. Yarutzu v'lo yagiu, he'll run and he won't get tired. Sha'ar b'nei adam, other people, kashem ratzim v'yotzim eteva alicha hemnilim. If people run more than they're used to, they're going to get weary, they'll get tired. Aval haratzim lidvar mitzvah lo yilu. Those that run to do mitzvahs, they will not get wearied. Yelchu v'lo yafu, they'll go and they won't become tired. Kisha'adam holich b'yom yosur mahalchu hu'ayev v'gev. If somebody walks more than he's used to walking during the day, he'll get tired. But those that walk in the Torah of Hashem will not become tired. V'gibor ka'ari, a person should be as strong as a lion. Lehizgaber ala mitzvos. Kloimar, shekol machshavta v'kamnasu pulos evarav al masa Hashem. That he should be mighty, that all of his abilities, all of his thoughts and intents, and all of his actions should be for doing mitzvos. To do the will of his Father in heaven. Your will, a person's desire, should be to do the desire of Hashem. Okay, continues the Mishnah. We said that the brazen go to Gehenna and the bashful go to heaven. Az panim, what's brazen? Rabbi Eliezer Omer mamzer. This is a mamzer, a bastard. A mamzer is someone who is born from an illegitimate union, a union which is prohibited by the Torah in certain scenarios that get the kares penalty. Yibishu Amr ben Hanida. This is the son of a child of Anida, a woman who didn't go to the mikvah. A woman has to go to the mikvah before she has relations with her husband to purify herself from her menstrual cycle. There are many laws about that. So someone who is brazen is somebody who is the child of someone who didn't go to the mikvah, or a mamzer. And we'll see what this means soon. Yeah. Rabbi Kiva says, mamzer u ben nida. Both a mamzer and a ben nida. Kishabal aviv haya ba'azos. Why? Because when the father had relations, he did it with brazenness. He didn't follow the Torah. The Torah says you're not supposed to have relations, and he had relations in an illicit way, and that caused this child to come into the world. He wasn't embarrassed to have relations with his wife when she was a nida, or with a person that he wasn't supposed to have relations with. And she was also not embarrassed. Therefore, the child will come out as a brazen child. Such a person, it's understood that his parents did not stand at Mount Sinai. And all of these, Elijah writes and Hashem seals, woe is to the person who marries a woman that's not fit for him, like the daughter of a ignorant person that marries a Torah scholar. Why is that bad? Because the daughter of an ignorant person isn't going to know how to keep the laws of Nida. They're going to have a child who is brazen. Woe is to a person that apostles his children and messes up his family. He has illegitimate relations. He has relations with a woman who is prohibited to him, and he has children from that illegal union, and he has non-kosher children, so to say. Such children are going to end up doing bad things in the Jewish people. Now, Eliyahu, before Mashiach is going to come, is going to tell us who's a mamzer, who's a ben nida, or whose ancestors weren't really Jewish. And Hashem will listen to them. Now, this is saying that since the parents did something which was against the Torah, the direct product of that is their children. So the children are going to have that attribute of being brazen. But if you look at Stipler in his Sefer Kehilas Yaakov on Yevamos, discusses if this applies, let's say a ben nida, someone whose parents weren't religious when they were born, and the person becomes religious. So is such a person still considered a brazen person? So the Stipler says no. He says this isn't a golden rule that every single child that comes out from an illicit union is going to be brazen, but he says it's just a general rule that this tends to happen. But he says if somebody returned to Torah and returned to Judaism, that proves that he has good midos, he's not a brazen person, and that he is not part of the rule. So about Shuvah, someone who returned to Judaism, whose parents had him when they were not keeping the laws of the Torah, the Stipler said is not included in this law. If you want to look it up, it's towards the end of Sefer Kehilas Yaakov on Yevamos. Okay, continues Rabeinu Yonah. V'chol ha'paisel pasel. Shekol hameiz panav klapi chavero v'tola bo psul k'dei levaisho b'yadua shu pasel u'b'muma hu paisel. Quotes the Gemara in Kedushin here that if somebody accuses someone else of having being pasul, of not being a kosher Jew, or saying that you were born of an illicit union, the person doing the accusing is the brazen one, and he is actually guilty of the same thing. Or not guilty, he is the one who actually has the same thing. If you accuse somebody of having something wrong with them, it's usually the accuser is the one who also has that thing wrong with him. King Solomon said, Evilim yalitz asham. Between the fools are burnt offerings of sacrifices, guilt offerings. The fool is somebody who is a very lowly person, and he is between the guilt offerings. Uben yisharm ratzon, but between the upright people is Hashem's favor. Lo yaskir chaveru ki im b'shavach sheyesh bo. A person should only mention his friend with the positive attributes. Okay, Inyan she'amru al shnei anashim shahayo ervin b'derech u'pagav b'nei achas. The Gemara says there were two people that were walking along the way, and they saw a carcass, a dead animal. Menalpin, very common to see dead deer, dead squirrel on the road. Tipesh Amar, the fool says, Kama musrechos nevelus. How disgusting is this? Is this carcass in the middle of the road? Chacham Amar, what does the wise person say? Kama levenim shineha. How beautiful are its teeth. The wise person always finds something positive in any situation. V'hu medarech muster. This is teaching us. Ve'edus leben yishar mimo. Ve'enu medaber b'shivcha shel olam. What's a bad person? A bad person doesn't mention the positive things in the world. He doesn't thank Hashem for providing the food. He just says, yeah, it's nature. We have food because of nature. This is another example. Right? So a wise person says, wow, I think God provides us with all this food. How lucky we are. But a fool will say, or a pessimist and a negative person say, it's just nature. He always looks at the negative. It's a very bad attribute to look at the negative. He said also, a guest. What does a good guest say? Wow, look how hard the host worked to make sure I have a nice time. Achsanai ra omer. What does a bad guest say? Kol ma shetarach b'shvilo tarach b'shvilo banav b'naisav. Oh, he wasn't, he didn't prepare a nice meal for me. He did it for himself. I just happened to be here. He did it for his family. So you can always look at any situation in the positive or the negative. Don't be like the people who look at the negative. Sof adam lamos, sof behem l'shchita, hakol l'misa henoder. The pessimist says, oh, everyone's going to die someday. The animals are going to get slaughtered and get eaten. Ma'ishan l'bal halashan. What does it all matter? Don't be like that. So we have to be positive. So again, we learned in this Mishnah, a very famous Mishnah, we have to be bold when we serve Hashem. Don't be embarrassed to be a Jew. When we're doing mitzvos, we should be proud of what we're doing. We should be proud that we are people that Hashem chose to act like a human being is supposed to act in the world and to sanctify His name and to be a godly people and to act properly. And we should, we learned that the product of a sin, of having illicit relations, is to have a child who is brazen because the parents engage in a brazen act. So usually the child will also have that attribute, but we said it doesn't apply always, especially if someone returns to Torah. And then we concluded saying that we should always look on the bright side of life. We should look at the positive. A person has a choice. Does he want to look at the positive or look at the negative? And with that, we finish Mishnah 20.